ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I am one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz, and on this week's episode, we'll be talking about the movie Bring Her Back. But of course, before we get to any of that, I am joined today by Pants Pisser Nathaniel Gingrich.
I feel like that was written in anger. I feel like you might have been feeling
it does feel a little passive aggressive. I didn't mean it writing it out, but then I wrote it out and I was like, this does feel like I'm coming after Nathaniel a little bit. Yeah. But how you doing, Nathaniel?
Oh yeah, I'm great. You know, just pissing my pants on the daily. All the cool kids do it.
When's the last time you have peed your pants? Is it recent?
I would never do anything to ruin our friendship like piss my pants.
You think I'd stop being friends with you?
Yeah, peeing your pants.
All right, Billy
cool.
Madison.
It's also early. I think that's oh my guy, Childish Gambino, Donald Glover. He had a Derek comedy sketch about peeing his pants and going to school with it. It's it's pooing his pants. Never mind, misremembered. But yeah, that's very funny. Last time I pissed my pants, man. Are we talking about? I don't remember. I have to imagine.
That's the best answer.
I will say this. Yeah, I went through my entire partying phases being drunk. I have never passed out drunk and pissed my pants. I will stand on that hill. That has never happened to me.
Yeah, me neither. I've never done that.
Look at us, man. Very responsible.
Yeah, what I was actually going to say to Adam is like, what the real adult question is what have you done more recently in terms of when's the last time you peed your pants or when the last time you've accidentally or intentionally shit yourself? And it's probably accidentally shit yourself more recently than peed.
Weirdly, that one comes up more often.
I have to fart, go to the bathroom, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Never trust a fart, folks. Never trust a fart.
Yeah. I can't really remember the last time either of these things have happened to me, but
you know, life is long.
Your time is coming.
I'm betting hard on I've accidentally pooped my pants more recently than accidentally pissed myself, for sure.
You know,
I can't wait for like Blake to go into work tomorrow and be like, "Hey, man, I listened to the podcast, and
this is my first time."
We gotta talk. Yeah, first time listener. Man, this is not gonna be. This is not a good first episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say this would be a rough one in general.
Just talking about like shit and pissing yourselves all the time. Is this like a regular conversation?
Is that what casual means to you guys? You guys talk about shit and piss the whole time?
And then we got to the movie.
yeah, exactly.
Funny.
Also joining us today is drooling Tyler Verdalis.
I'm drooling.
So I have a story on that one. I went to I was visiting a friend at one point, like in college, and he was like, "Oh yeah, man, you our other buddy, he's out of town. Like you can stay at his place. Maybe want to bring like a towel or your own pillowcase." And I was like, "That's strange." I get into the room where I'm staying. I look down, and this dude's pillowcase looks like a constellation. Like it is just little drool spots everywhere on this thing. And I was just like, oh, wow, I understand this now.
I get it.
Yeah. And you know what? Not something I had ever really considered up to that point. That just like, you're just like, oh, this is a function of the human body I'd never really thought about. So yeah, long story short, I did cover that pillow, and you know,
smart.
Life went on.
Way to do it.
Man. You know, shout out to your friends who knew their roommate.
Oh, solid guy.
Super solid. I mean, know that you would need that.
This was. I mean, we are talking about Nick. This is a gentleman that I have known since I think I was 6 years old. So at this point,
Nick is the drooler, or Nick is the friend that helped you out?
No, Nick is the friend that warned me ahead of time, for sure.
The savior.
Got it.
Yeah.
As they would say.
I was going to say, I didn't know we were about to name drop the
No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that to that person.
Well, shout out Nick though, man. That's the guy you need on your team, right? He's like looking out for you that far in advance of like, hey man, FYI, you might want to You know, and that's all you got to say.
That's true.
And you're like, you know what? I understand. So,
But like, it's not something you imagine when you're 10 years old and you're like, one day in my life, I will overcome challenges. Not one you would think about.
Yeah.
Who's Blake?
Rounding out the squadron today. Big belly BlakeHolder.
there it is.
Is it in Pulp Fiction where he's like, or where she's like, I will get a beautiful pot belly? I think about that line all the time.
Oh, it's like
I don't
she's
know
talking
if I
about
can
a
call
pig,
that
right?
line.
Yeah, she's talking with Bruce Willis, and
talking
she's
about
like,
a pig.
I will have a beautiful pot belly one day, and he's just like, I will
think you're
love you
right.
with your
I
pot
think you're
belly.
right. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, I can't pull that one. That's cool.
One we'll have to get on the pod at some point for sure. I mean,
Yeah, surprising though. I don't even think that's on the short list.
It's not.
I mean, how many things
To
are
be
on the
honest
short
with you.
list at this point? We have so many to choose
It's
from.
not a short list. It's a
Yeah.
long list at this point.
Not enough time in the world, as they say.
Yeah.
But we'll get to it, man. Along with
down the road.
a bunch of other Tarantino and Scorsese and Nolan.
You know, I've been
Villeneuve.
last week or so was the sumo. I was talking about that, and speaking of bellies, they always slap their belly at the start of every match as like kind of it's like both an intimidation tactic and a ceremony. And I think I think we need that more in our jobs. You know,
how does
just to,
that compare to New Zealand's like the haka? Is that what that's called?
Yeah, the haka is a different. I've seen a haka in person actually. I was there.
Oh, yeah, you said you went to some.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
I
It
was
was
at
like
the
a
Rugby World
Cup
Cup
or something.
Yeah,
right?
I got to see New Zealand play France. France. France is the British way of saying it. France is how we say it in America.
France.
But yeah, I got to see them do it. I got to see the haka in person, and it is
That's
intimidating. Yeah, it's different.
Oh my god, dude! No, even watching those videos, I'm like, if I was standing across from that, I actually don't know.
I genuinely, I wish we had something like it. Like I wish
right?
places would like
In America?
come up with, I like even anything like that. Like I think you get in college football sometimes or in basketball stuff, but I love when like
kinda.
places have their own little culture and like you come in there and there's like something different about that place and it adds a little bit to that, like, oh, we're going into enemy territory or something like that. That's one of the cool things about those college sports or professional sports, right? Is you have the little bit of flavor of every place that you come from, and things like the Olympics or World Cups or something like that, just to get those different things in there. That's always awesome, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
So what I'm saying is we should, as America, start slapping our bellies more, because that's what's putting us out.
We have the bellies to slap.
That's right.
Pretty heavy country we got over here.
Yeah, true.
I think that's why all of our cities are sinking.
If we could make our national anthem "Big Man Blastoise," which I just discovered this week,
you're gonna have to send a link for that. I'm not familiar.
Isn't Blastoise
It was the end of
Pokemon?
the Grizz video that I sent you guys, where the guy.
That's what that was. Okay, I was gonna say. Wait, no, I have heard that recently.
Yes, the Big Man Blastoise
and that's where it was from. All right. Well, anyway, not a lot of belly slapping here in this movie, right, gentlemen? Actually, well, it's more of a kick.
More than you think.
Singular belly slap.
Yeah, that's true. It's more of a kick. But anyway, Bring Her Back is the movie this week. Nathaniel, if listener here is new, or maybe they've just forgotten, can you first apologize to them for like the tangent that was the opening segment, but if they're new, but then also to give them a rundown of how our review segment works.
Listeners, if you're new, I humbly and deeply apologize for the tangent that was the opening segment. But the way the review system works here on Back Row Banter is it is split up into two sections. There's the non-spoiler section, and then there's the spoiler section. It's pretty self-explanatory. In the non-spoiler section, we'll go over who wrote it, who directed it, who's in it, all of that good stuff. We'll read the IMDb summary and go around the squadron and decide if we like that IMDb summary. It's got to be, then we'll decide if we would recommend the movie. It's got to be a yes or no answer. There's no nuance on the internet. After we've done that, we'll play a spoiler noise just to let you know that we're going into the spoiler section. It'll also be marked in our show notes. If you don't want to have anything spoiled for you, go ahead and skip that section. But that's where we'll be going into any bigger plot twists, themes, all of that good stuff. And if you don't want to have anything spoiled for you, again, in the show notes, it'll let you know when we're into our Entropy list ranking, which is where we rank everything we've watched on the podcast all on one big list. We'll see where Bring Her Back merits itself on that one. And yeah, Adam, tell me about Bring Her Back.
I would love to. This is a new movie, rated R, with a runtime of 1 hour and 44 minutes and an IMDb rating of 7.6 out of 10. It is directed by Danny and Michael Philippou.
Yep.
Hilarious that we were. I guess this is pre-pod discussion that I'll have to now put post-pod. They're Australian.
They are indeed.
I didn't even think of that
born
too
in,
on the pre
born in South Australia.
Yeah.
They had a YouTube channel.
That's a good tie-in.
Early on.
Did they?
Yeah, I think
Previous YouTubers.
So they're like the Paul brothers of Australia. Is that what you're telling me?
I forgot the name of the YouTube
Paul brothers
channel
had
name.
talent, sure.
Is it Racket?
Raka
Ratchy?
I think it is. Raka
Something like that.
Yeah. RAKKA, I think.
Yeah.
Definitely, I think in that next gen of filmmakers we're seeing who all kind of like worked out their like stylings and like their experimentation on YouTube. And man, those dudes that were like making their own kind of weird film school at like 15, they're going to be making some crazy movies here the next few years.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting stuff.
It is. And it's written by Danny Philippou and then Bill Hinsman, who also wrote their previous film, previous A24 film, Talk to Me, which is probably it got some buzz when it came out. Who's seen that here? I have not. Nathaniel raised his hand.
I've seen it as well.
Blake has
Yeah, I caught it in theaters.
Ty, have you seen Talk
What
to
is
Me?
it? I didn't hear you.
Talk to Me.
Oh,
Have you
yeah,
seen it?
yeah.
Okay, so I'm the only one who hasn't seen it. So you guys have all seen the previous film.
I have.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, it's
cast
not bad.
okay. Cast includes Billy. I want to say it's Barrett, but there's no E on the end. It might be Barrett. I don't know. But Billy Barrett. We're gonna go with that. Sally Hawkins and the Jonah Wren Phillips, Stephen Phillips, and then Sora Wong is the other big character here as well. I feel like that's our main cast for the most part. I don't think
for
I'm missing
sure.
too many people here. The IMDb summary reads as follows: A brother and sister uncover a terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother.
Thoughts?
Okay. Decent summary. I mean,
It doesn't give
Yeah,
away
it
a
doesn't
ton.
give away too much.
Yeah.
no, it doesn't give away too much, which is, I think this is kind of one of those
And I
movies where
feel
you don't really
like-
want to know too much.
I think I saw one trailer for this maybe, and I feel like that didn't give away a ton either in my
It didn't.
experience.
Yeah. I saw the original teaser for this like maybe 6 months ago or so. That was
Okay.
like, hey, this is going to be the new movie from the Talk to Me guys. Again, having heard of that, I was like, or knowing that movie was
Yeah, because
pretty
that
well
was
regarded. I was like, oh, okay, they're already coming out with another one. That's a pretty quick turnaround.
an A24 movie, if I
Yes,
remember it
yes, it
correctly
was.
as well too.
Yeah.
And I think it was like off the strength of that they signed on to the Street Fighter movie, and then they were kind of like, nah, fam,
Oh.
we're gonna do this instead. Basically, once that fell through.
Nice. That's cool. Yeah, fellas, how we feeling here? Blake, Nathaniel, our resident, not necessarily horror experts, but that you guys are the higher horror guys here. Thoughts?
I'll kind of kick it off here. I mean, overall, went into this blind as usual. You guys know I'm not a big trailer guy, big teaser guy. But having seen Talk to Me and going off the strength of the directors, the sibling pair on that, I had pretty decent expectations in this. And honestly, I feel like my expectations have been met. So yeah, overall, I mean, I did enjoy it. I caught it over the weekend. I wanted to see if I can do like a Saturday evening show
Sure.
to get like a real horror feel up for it. And there was actually a lot of butts and seats when you go on AMC, and I was like, oh, I can't really find a good ticket I want to sit at, right? So I ended up going to Sunday morning. But yeah, overall, it's good. It's good. Right off the jump, I mean, I think I like it more than Talk to Me. I think I had a more emotional connection to the characters. And this compared to Talk to Me, kind of with the sibling dynamic, which is funny with siblings directing the movie, right? They have
Sure.
siblings being portrayed right in the movie. So I think I kind of connect to them more, and then just kind of going in blind, not really sure what was going to happen. The communication between the guests, you have an idea that the character portrayed by Sally Hawkins like may be kind of up to no good, but you're obviously kind of playing with your expectations. She does a really good job at playing like a Jekyll and Hyde type character, where she's sometimes like overly nice, but it comes across of like, I don't think you're doing that to be nice. It seems like you've got an ulterior motive. But yeah, overall, I'm pleasantly surprised, man. I didn't think they'd be able to build off Talk to Me the way I think they could. And I would say they've effectively done it. Now, that being said, is this like my favorite horror movie ever? Like, no, I'm not going to say that. Is this the best A24 movie? Horror movie? No, I'm not going to say that. Is it one of the better ones we've gotten recently? I would say, yeah, it's pretty good. And they've done enough. Danny and Michael have done enough to the point where I'm in the theater for whatever horror movie they want to put out.
Sure.
Right. So like, I don't need to see a teaser. I don't need to hear anything about it. Just tell me Danny and Michael Philippou got a fucking movie coming out May 2026. And I'm there. So I'll jump into kind of like my real thoughts about the plot and kind of some of their reoccurring themes that seem to be prevalent in Talk to Me and this, where if you've seen Talk to Me, there's a lot of things in here that you can pick up and you're like, oh, these guys really have a knack for doing X, Y, and Z. Right. So you pick up on that, and it's actually really cool to see, and you can begin to appreciate that. So yeah, we'll talk about some of that stuff and the world building they're going on about, because there seems to be a lot of parallels between the two films. But yeah, long ramble for me. Overall, recommend. I'll talk a lot in spoilers. But yeah, definitely, I'm going to say the best horror movie I've seen this year. Right? So Sinners is good, but yeah, bring her back.
Better than Final Destination.
I mean, from a true horror definition, yes.
It's an interesting question.
But yeah, from a true horror definition, yes. I think I like this more than Sinners and Final Destination. Now, as far as like you want to watch something fun and you got a lot of people around and you just want to have some background shit on, Final Destination takes that cake by far. Right? This is a little too heavy of a movie for the like, let's just put this shit on. It's me and the boys, Back Row's getting together for Halloween. Let's put something on and kind of shoot the shit. I don't think this is the vote. You know what I mean? So
I have to agree too.
Yeah.
I think I'm fully in the same bucket with you there, where like I had a better time at Final Destination, and like that was that like it's that horror roller coaster a little bit, where you're like, this isn't necessarily the best thing about it, but the fun part is the journey, is the ride, right? No part of this journey is fun.
No, like Final Destination doesn't scare me. This movie had me uncomfortable multiple times, right? So
yeah, I think I think everything that Blake has said too, I think is true. I think the my reaction was a bit where like I was probably 20 minutes in or so, and I was like, oh, like I don't really know. I'm kind of done with this like trauma as horror, like dark feelings, like everything that Hereditary started in like 2016. I feel like has been kind of like played out at this point. Yeah, and like is still that thing that people keep going back to as fresh. And like I think to this movie's credit, by the end of the movie, I was like, okay, it moved itself out from under just that, like another Hereditary kind of derivation or spinoff or something. Like there was a part of me that was like, oh no, I see the bones and the talent of what's going on here with these guys, and like in that way, it reminds me more of like a Midsummer, where I'm like, it's not quite as it's maybe not quite as polished as Talk to Me is in some ways. Talk to Me feels like a movie that went through multiple drafts and like had that kind of long production history, and whereas this one feels much more like, okay, we've got our taste of success, like, but we got to make this now before we can't ever make it again, kind of thing. But I do enjoy, to your point, like I feel like I like this better than Talk to Me. I think it's probably the more successful film of the two. And a lot of that's down to the acting. I think Sally Hawkins cannot be overstated enough. Like, she is awesome.
Fucking
in this.
phenomenal.
And
phenomenal.
like truly playing, in my opinion, like one of cinema's most despicable characters. Like, we'll talk more in spoilers as well too. And like,
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. This is it echoes the. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. It echoes the Toni Collette Hereditary.
For sure.
Hereditary performance.
There's definitely elements there.
This is fucking phenomenal.
It's like that, and it's like it's Kathy Bates in Misery as well too.
Yep.
Like that next level where I'm like, oh, you should be like considered in the Oscars for this kind of thing. Like,
for sure.
You're killing it here. I think the Philippou Bros have a really good visual eye as well too. Like, I think a lot of times they'll like kind of photograph things that are in a very interesting way in terms of like things that are maybe a little bit out of focus or in the back of a shot or something like that. I think they're very conscious of that. I'll be interested to see what they go from next. I think the other kind of comparison that comes to mind is like Jordan Peele in some ways, where like you have that big hit and then you come back with Us, which is a little bit more esoteric, and I don't necessarily compare the same movies the same way, but like I feel like, kind of to what Blake was talking about, Talk to Me and Bring Her Back in some ways feel variations on a theme, or feel like variations on a theme. I'd be interested to see where they go next and like what they might do to branch out from that as well too.
Yeah, if they could shy away from that. Yep.
So that was kind of my experience, my initial thoughts. I'll kick it over to Tyler.
No, I'm kidding. I had a lot of fun. I think that I will be on the agreeance as far as this is better than Talk to Me. I think it's just a better film, and kind of just to shadow what you guys have said, Sally Hawkins is, it's really hard to kind of be in one of those roles where you're meant to be like charismatic in a way, but also like menacing, and she's got a couple of different hats that she can put on in each scene, and she does it really well. So overall, incredible acting from everybody. This is a relatively small cast in general. You really don't see a lot of people in this, so just the overall size. And then it is always curious to me when you do have people that have some kind of disability on screen, to see how well they play it. But then you do, if you do a little bit more digging, Sora Wan is actually partially blind as her character is written. So it is cool, one, to give somebody, a chance like that, and then also two, to be able to use that to their advantage to make that something more realistic in screen. So shout out to them. They did a really great job writing her character, and obviously she did a great job playing. But overall, yeah, man, I think the sets are great as far as, just how lived in everything feels. Obviously, from the little IMDb synopsis that she is a foster mom, so it's always kind of interesting to see those situations and scenarios, how foster parents, like, immediately, it's kind of like one of your red flags when you walk into a horror movie. You're kind of like, oh, okay, if there's foster parents, then they got to be kind of part of something. So it's cool to see kind of like how things play out with this so-called ritual that they briefly touched on in the IMDb review. But overall, I had a lot of fun. I know Adam was semi sarcastically asking you guys if this is better than Final Destination, but you guys, being the horror buffs that you are and that we are all, kind of becoming, we answered it pretty seriously. We were like, oh yeah, for sure. Whereas obviously I think Adam was being a little facetious.
I mean, I wasn't. That was more of a genuine question. I mean,
okay.
He said it was his favorite horror movie of the year, and that was the one that's my personal favorite horror movie of the year, probably. So I was just kind of putting it up against that, and I know we all enjoyed that one. So
Got it. Yeah, I don't know why. For some odd reason, it came off a little sarcastic. Like I kind of felt like we knew his answer was going to be this over Final Destination. But
I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're good. But yeah, I think I'm with the majority. This is better than that, and I think this is also the better, the best horror movie we kind of have currently. So
yeah, good points, Ty. Adam, you want to close out your pre-spoiler thoughts?
It sounds like I'm probably going to be the lowest on this of the four of us.
Not surprising at all.
Yeah, I mean, is it a bad movie? No. Is it a bad horror movie? No. Like, I think it's good. I think I enjoyed it for the most part. It just left me kind of wanting more in certain places. And didn't quite pan out the way I was like hoping or expecting, I should say. But it's still pretty good. And as far as horror goes, like it was still one where I was pretty tense most of the time. And as we've already touched on, the performances are really good, and I do think it's pretty well directed. This makes me kind of interested to go and watch Talk to Me to see kind of what I maybe prefer, if that one I like a little bit more. I feel like based on what I've seen and what I've heard, I might enjoy that one a little bit more. You thinking pretty hard over there, Nathaniel?
Talk to Me was a weird one. I mean, I enjoyed it. I didn't see it in theaters, so I saw it afterwards. Yeah. I remembered I purchased it and just watched it at home, and like that's one where like in contrast to something like Get Out, which was another one that I think I didn't actually see in theaters. I saw it once it came out, just bought it sight unseen and watched it. Like Talk to Me, I felt like it was a variation on a theme in some ways, but I feel like they get a little bit more original with this one. And get a little bit more messy, but maybe in some ways that's, to their detriment as well as their benefit. I'm sorry, Adam. I didn't mean to draw the attention to me as well too.
Oh no, you're good. I didn't have much more on that. I mean, I don't think I
think there was a moment in this movie where I was like, "Well, we lost Adam."
Oh yeah.
Genuinely.
I think there's just like a gore point that we hit to where Adam's kind of out for not necessarily like I think Adam's gotten to the point where he's still gonna look at it from like a film standpoint to make sure that he's still gonna, but obviously there are gonna be some things in horror movies that just actually just turn him off and away from the movie.
We've been doing this for 5 years at this point. We've got a pretty good idea of each other's tastes a little bit as well.
For sure.
There's some body horror that I did not particularly enjoy, and I don't get enjoyment out of it. So I mean, if that's definitely probably part of it is me not really liking that aspect of like horror. And that is, I'm not going to say that's the whole horror here, but that's like a kind of a bigger part of kind of the scare or the horror aspect of this movie is a little bit more of the body horror stuff. So. That's I think probably part of it.
I think there's I will let you speak on what you're thinking as well too. Go ahead, friend.
I was just gonna say I don't want to sound like I'm being too negative on it.
Okay.
I still think it was a pretty good movie.
Okay.
Pretty solid, and it's just not going to be one where I'm like, man, like you guys got to see Bring Her Back, or like you guys remember that movie. Like it's not going to be that for me. And it's definitely not horror movie of the year for me. I would definitely watch and take Final Destination Bloodlines and The Monkey over this one personally. Just both more probably up my alley in terms of like the comedy aspect of,
I think
the horror.
It's that difference between horror as entertainment and horror as like as like
just
art fulfillment
per
right?
se.
Like there is an element that you get out of it of like I don't always feel super comfortable confronting death in my daily life, but like this is something different that I can control, right? And if it's going to be bleak and nihilistic, well, at least I've gone down that path already. I don't need to do that for myself anymore.
Where this film touches on that a lot, right? So I mean, I guess to kind of jump into spoilers here, I mean, we got three recommends. Adam, are you still a recommend, or are you saying
I would say
hey,
I'm
good
like
film, but pass on it?
yeah, I'm still a recommend. Like
Okay.
solid film. I think if you are a horror fan, like yeah, go see this. If you're not, well, I mean, yeah, you're probably not gonna. This is not one where I'm like, oh, anybody can enjoy this. So, yeah, I'd recommend people go see this if they were thinking about seeing it. I'd push them to go see it. But it's probably one of those ones for me where it's like, yeah, you could maybe wait to streaming kind of thing.
Sure.
Kind of in that zone for me. But
Well,
I'll play a spoiler
you
noise
gotta-
here for us,
yeah,
fellas.
let's go ahead, get into spoilers. Check the episode description. I've left a timestamp you can jump to where you'll be taking the ranking of the movie Have Upon our Entropy list.
Spoilers.
there it is.
Got some creepy crickets for you guys.
There. So, I mean, I guess, so to kind of like wrap up the plot here, right? So,
Yeah.
Sally Hawkins is a foster mother who has taken in these two siblings who have lost their only living parent
Yep.
in a tragic situation, right?
Yep.
And it was actually due to, funny enough, so I've kind of bounced around. So that's due to a water death,
Yep.
which is very prominent in Talk to Me.
Yep.
So, like, that's the first thing I noticed. Is like, oh, they're really big on
Yeah.
these aqua, water, hydro, you know what I mean, type of death. So nonetheless, so that happens. They get pushed over to this lady who's a new foster mom, who we come to realize has lost her child.
Yep.
And she's found a set of ritual tapes from Lord knows where, which is actually pretty cool. They don't give us the background on that.
Yep.
Of how she can bring the deceased back in another human vessel.
Yep.
Right? Like, it's essentially that's the plot. And there's another child already at the foster home who we're introduced from the audience as that's her other child. And it turns out that child's been kidnapped and he's the beginning of this ritual.
Yep.
Right? Is that kind of the synopsis there? Yeah. So yeah, and then from there you just get a lot of back and forth, a lot of Jekyll and Hyde from Sally Hawkins' character. She plays phenomenal. Honestly, one of these films where like I'm watching, I'm like, she fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And I hate this lady.
Yeah.
Right? And that's good.
Just
That's
genuinely
good, though.
despicable. Like you're just like,
Yeah,
oh,
for
there
sure.
are
And that's how you know somebody's rolling, though.
right. Yeah, like the willingness for Sally Hawkins to go there and like to just like fully commit to that like mindset, right? Where you're just like, there are no redeeming qualities at this point. Like,
no,
you're
a fucking horrible person.
You are, like one of the true villains on there. And like everything that you're claiming that you want in this world in terms of like a connection and someone to depend on you and someone to see you as this mother figure, like you have the opportunity for that with these characters that we've introduced to and you are deliberately,
you don't even see it.
Yeah, you're deliberately shunning it because you can't see it, right? And like that's part of what makes it good writing, and it's also part of like what makes it just like so worth getting invested in as a viewer and stuff. I think that's definitely part of it. I think I like how much they leave ambiguous in terms of like kind of
the tapes,
yeah,
and
the
whatnot.
tapes, the cults,
yeah,
like all
I
that.
love
like,
that, dude. I love the no over explaining, the no info dumps.
Yeah,
right. No exposition dumps. You just, I love it, man. I love it. I can't stand when movies hold our hands to get through shit, and I feel like there's another script of this written somewhere. And maybe not directly by the Philippou brothers, but by another person. Yeah, and they are holding our hand through the entire ritual process. Right.
Yeah, I think I was like coming out of it, I was reminded of several movies that have come out recently. I was reminded of Hereditary. I was reminded of Long Legs. For sure. There was definitely some Oz Perkins like things that, particularly with like the shapes, like the circles and the kind of like triangle pool and the kind of like the different like things that they kept doing and kind of like using that as framing, and particularly like the way he sets up shots sometimes too. I'm thinking specifically of like the VHS shot that you see often where like you're focusing on like the people that are like trying to bring the one person back, but you see the other character being like hung by two men in the background kind of thing. That felt very Osgood Perkins to me in some ways, in that like kind of shot construction and stuff. And then I The sound design. I want to give a shout out to the sound design as well too. From like the opening,
fucking phenomenal.
The opening moments with that kind of like the feeling of like the rain, kind of like shower,
Yeah.
like you feel like you're kind of in like a tiled shower kind of thing, and it's got that kind of scraping circular like feel to it. Like it just several moments of really good creepy sound design in this one a couple different times.
The big one on sound design there too, as well, is obviously the as we're dubbing it, the flossing scene, right?
Sure.
Where you have the
knife in the teeth.
Yeah, and then the knife in the mouth is like phenomenal sound design, because you're kind of watching it go on, and at that point we're not quite sure what's wrong with the kid. Obviously you have context clues of what could be wrong and how.
I feel like an observant viewer has picked it by that point. Like, what's going on?
You don't know like how wild it really is yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're like, okay, he's weird, but like, I don't know. And yeah, man, that sound design is next level.
And
right?
I love that scene because you as a viewer have the same thought process as the character of, I've got to get this out, but when I get it out, is that going to do more damage,
so much more damage
than it currently is already? And like that is such a good headspace to find yourself putting the viewer in and succeeding in that. And that's when I was like, oh damn, like the boys know what they're doing. Like these guys, they got the chops. Like I'm, like we're in good hands on some of these moments. And that also gives you the like where he gets outside the circle for the first time and kind of like again uses some of that, not spelling it out for you, but like showing you what happens and why things are different. And like how you can put that together as well too, and again not explaining it so much.
And that's the scene where it picks up, right, for kind of viewers.
Generally,
where it goes inside the circle, and then you're like, ooh, like the stomach starts rumbling. You can tell there's something inside.
Yeah, and he comes
inside
back.
Oliver, Ollie, or Connor.
Yeah.
Right. And then he gets that moment of consciousness, the get out clarity, the whatever clarity where they flash the camera and it's boom, just enough. And then you see the kid's like, he's like help me. Like
in pain for the first time.
Right. And that's really okay. Like I think I really know where this is going. So I mean, I know we definitely want to have Ty and Adam in here talk, but yeah, at one point, overall, I like the movie. And at one point, once you start to piece together the puzzles of the ritual and what's going on, and I'm like, oh, this is really dark. I wonder how far they're going to go with it.
Sure.
And I didn't think they would go balls to the walls, and they didn't.
No.
You know what I mean? But at one point, I was like, are they really going to, are they going to do what I think they're going to do and actually commit to it? And they didn't, which is probably the better position, I guess.
They didn't, but I'll tell you, they got me with the eye punch. Like, I didn't expect that.
That was rough.
Just straight, I mean, essentially child abuse.
Yeah,
right?
and like
which is
she's
one of the lighter themes.
And like we as the viewer know that like that's her good eye, quote unquote, as well too. And like that whole thing, like her not knowing she's blind, or like in the whole thing of like not while you're sleeping and stuff, and like her smelling the brother, like
sprays his cologne on.
Yeah, that
so
was
that
one of the moments
gaslight
like,
the brother
for me. Like fuck demons, fuck all the rest. Like seeing her hit the girl like in that, and like that whole like that got me bad. Almost I feel like more than any other part in the movie, to be honest with you.
That did hit me pretty hard too.
For sure.
That was no pun intended. That was like
also sick fucking game that they get to play with like the blind, like the ball on the floor. They're like
at daycare or at the camp, whatever it is. Park district.
I assume it's like a competitive league or something. Like that seems sick as hell.
I think it's a real thing. I think I've seen clips of that.
Yeah,
before,
I love how competitive she gets too. Like as a kid, where she's just like, "How's my ball taste?"
Yeah, what did she say? yeah.
That was, I was just like kind of what Tyler was saying earlier, like you don't always get to see representation like that, particularly in a horror movie. And like I think it was really cool that actress and that girl got to play that role and seemed pretty dope overall. Like she seemed like a pretty cool kid.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did a great job opening up her character with the with that bus stop scene with the other girls, and you're just like,
sure, yeah,
just right off the bat, talk about great writing, just like right off the bat, empathy for that character because like that's just
And
so
they're-
fucked up. But then also like something that you can kind of see happening, like maybe not to
Oh,
that
yeah.
They're
degree,
definitely
but like that, you know, when you're younger,
Mhm.
you
Kids
saw that
suck.
kind of thing happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
kids suck.
No, I think the Philippines aren't afraid to write kids as kids, particularly
Mhm.
in 2025, right? And like you see her side of it, and then you like the brother, I think, as well too, and kind of like
Mhm.
his whole storyline with like his guilt towards being abused,
his own
and
sister.
then like and then
Yeah.
like taking it out on his sister, obviously at some point, and like how he's so overprotective because of that as well too, and that stuff like. I think that's all, you know, very good writing, very honest writing for
Yeah.
like I hate more than anything when we have this like uninteresting Hollywood family. I'm all here to protect the family. Nothing is ever wrong. Like blood is thicker than water.
Yeah,
Like no, it's
yeah.
fucking hard to be alive. It's fucking hard to be with your family, right? Like
Mhm.
it may not even be perfect, but like there's still things that you're looking for as well too. And then when you have someone purposefully undermining the one thing that is good going on in your life, like that is good emotional filmmaking, I think.
Yeah, for sure, man. The writing on the characters Andy and Piper it's I found that to be the most compelling part of the story.
Oh,
And
for
honestly,
sure.
I became emotionally invested into it to the point where like I almost cried in this movie. At the point of the very emotional beat where in the bathroom and Piper finds her brother. And she's like pleading, like hoping he's alive, because you can put yourself in her shoes where you understand she's obviously hurt because she's lost her sibling, right? It's multiple layers. She's
Right.
lost her sibling. She's
Lost
in a
her-
bad situation. And we also realize how dependent she is on him,
Yeah.
right? In these circumstances, because she's disabled to a capacity, right? And yeah, that's just great writings when they have people buy in on horror characters, where you get some of these horror movies, man, we've talked about, you get these paper thin characters. And not to rip on Adam's wreck of Final Destination 6, which I love Final Destination series for what they are, right? Me and Nathaniel are probably some of the highest on this podcast for those, and Ty. But yeah, just like even the sixth one, they try to give a little backstory to some of the characters a little bit, but for the most part, you get your cutout characters of like, hey, funny brother, serious brother, funny
Well,
sibling, right?
it's
And
the-
you just they're staying away from that in this, man, and they make it so grounded between the relationships and characters and the kind of the bond they build, where you don't get that type of writing traditionally and buy-in on character development in horror movies. So it was phenomenal.
Yeah, it's the simple difference of watching to see how these characters die in a funny way,
Yeah.
and watching to see if these characters die, but you don't want them to, right? Like-
Yeah. Like I said, you're rooting for them to make it out, because
And
as the viewer, you're so disgusted by the Laura Sally Hawkins character.
Like,
Your
yeah.
eyes like, yo, like I fucking hope these kids kill her.
So
Like
like
that's what you're rooting for, right?
I feel like to that point, like me as the hardened like horror movie viewer, like Andy, I was like, bro's written off. Like I was like trying to like guard my heart kind of thing, like a little bit.
Oh
I was
yeah,
like,
you knew he was gonna die.
I was
for
like,
sure.
dude's toast. But like he got the catharsis, right? He at least he got someone to believe him and
Yes.
see him, and like even if it was for 5 minutes, then they both die. He he can accomplish the mission, and he got like the message to his sister kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, like I'm okay. Like we can let Andy go. But if they killed Piper, I would have rioted as well too. So it is what it is.
Did you now, as we kind of circling back to earlier, fellas, did anyone actually think, you're talking about if they killed Piper, we would have uproared, right? As they say. Did anyone think they would actually go all the way through with it, how dark it was going to go?
So
Because I was hesitant, man. I was like, man, I hope they don't kill Piper, but I don't know if they're going to go full kill Piper, sacrifice the other Oliver child, right? We're often two kids here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? On screen. I was like, I don't know if they're going to go that deep, man. And of course, both the kids end up being saved at the end of the film, which is essentially how I thought it would play out. Maybe not in that specific manner with those specific details, but I was pretty hell-bent. Like, man, I don't think they're often two kids on screen right now, man.
I
The whole
mean,
thing is that you thought about it, and that there's a very real chance that
for
they
sure.
didn't shy away from it.
100%.
But you're obviously, happy with the outcome overall, and you have to have guessed that, somebody was going to die. And so but it's also good that you get, kind of justice served at the end for Hawkins' character.
Yeah, I like
you
to
don't
think
necessarily know what's happening. Like they don't ever tell you what happened, but obviously, given the fact that authorities show up and everything like that, you can
Yeah, I
pretty
mean,
much
in my
wrap
head
it up.
canon, like she doesn't die. Like the cops get her and like actually take her back. Like you can read it that way. I feel like for sure in some ways.
I agree. Yeah.
Worried about Connor and his forearm because my dude lost a lot of flesh on that
Forearm,
one.
brother. Imagine the
teeth,
the trauma that kid's gonna go through. That kid's fucked, man.
He'll be all right.
All jokes aside,
him and the little
nothing therapy can't fix, right?
Yeah, him and the little girl from
one
Us
therapy session
that got swapped out for the
Have you heard
wrong
of
one.
BetterHelp? This episode brought to you.
Insert therapy ad, right? Yeah, that's fucking
by
perfect.
BetterHelp.
That's all Oliver needs. One BetterHelp session.
Have you been traumatized by the healthcare system? Had a bad foster parent?
Yeah, talk about some of the practical effects in this are also fucking phenomenal. There's some body horror in here that's like pretty gruesome. You get Connor peeling off his forearm because as the story progresses, we understand that this demon has to eat. So he just starts like scavenging through to eat anything from a fucking knife to a wood table to his own forearm to Sally Hawkins' arm to the chickens in the coop. It's like to an actual body. I think it's Kathy is Sally Hawkins' character's daughter.
The actual ritual. How's it supposed to go? Like he's supposed to consume the body and then he'll
consume the body and then purge it into the other one to the dead body that had to die the way the original body died.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, mimic the death and then you gotta summon the demon or summon the angel, all that good stuff. And like it could have worked like that. That's an interesting part of it as well too, right? Like,
you're absolutely right. Where that's for us as the viewer, like we don't know where these tapes come from, right? So, and neither does Sally Hawkins, which is awesome because as the movie is being portrayed in real time, you understand that she also doesn't know what the fuck she's doing either. So anytime something goes awry, she's kind of like, put the tape on and like studies the tape and tries to put Oliver back under the spell. And, it's like she doesn't know. So at one point, it seems like she starts to believe like, okay, maybe this shit might actually work. Right. Where at first she seems kind of skeptical. And it's that's the beauty in it. And to your point is that from the viewer angle, it's like you start to think like, I think that ritual may have actually worked, but we don't know. We don't know.
And I think it's something that's maybe not necessarily recognized as culturally in America, but I believe in Australia there's a lot of Greek immigrants. And I think the boys with the last name Philippou might like be from that descent. And I think those films, like the language that's being spoken is Greek. And I think that might be like kind of like that, like it might be supposed to be this kind of like messaging on like the Orthodox kind of like Christian church or something like that. But again, it's like this person who doesn't know about it has found it, right? And is like trying to interpret it as well too. And I think that's a really interesting place to go with that. And something like, like why would you ever assume that she would know how to do it, right? Like she's just learning from something else.
She's learning out of desperate measures
I think
out of her own grief and depression.
Yeah, that builds back into that like that great character who is just clearly a person who hasn't dealt with their own grief, right? And who hasn't like dealt with the fact that. And maybe I missed it, but like they don't ever comment on the fact that like the daughter falls into the pool bleeding from the head, and like that's what drowns her.
They don't
like. And so I think there seems to be like a lot of other stuff that's kind of like again we talked about how like they leave things ambiguous, but like there are some elements in there like I think it may be commented early on, but like I missed the fact that like it sounds like Piper and Andy's parents are separate and like they're a blended family originally too, like and that it's like Piper's mom and Danny's dad, and like I didn't catch at the beginning how they say like why Piper's mom is gone. If she left, if she's dead, like what else is happening there too. But again, we're just kind of inferring all of that information as well too. And I feel like in that ways, that's another thing that makes it like more contemporary or modern as well too. Like it is that it feels very real in those moments.
Yeah, it's very open ended where you can look at it from a lot of different perspectives, right, and kind of create a narrative that we believe the Phillips brothers were coming across. But another thing I want to point to as well, Nathaniel, is you brought up as the viewer, they never give us a clear answer on the Kathy character who was Sally Hawkins' Laura. Daughter who falls into the pool already bleeding, which can kind of put potentially some blame on the mother. Was it at a pool party and there are other kids involved? Could Connor Bird or the Oliver character who she kidnapped to make part of the ritual?
Yeah,
was that person a part of the reason
or
why
Ollie,
her daughter died? Like, we don't know.
Ollie, the cousin that like has the name and stuff, and like shows up in a video at some point and that kind of thing. Like, maybe he had some too. Like, and like, I think maybe like full disclosure here, like when I was growing up, we were at a pool party and my brother fell into a pool and nearly drowned. Like he had to get air evac'd and like taken to the hospital and all that kind of stuff. And like, so there was like a little element of thing where I was like, yeah, okay, this is what happens when you don't put a fence around your pool in the year 2025, man. Like, you know, maybe you shouldn't have that there as well too. But
let alone with a partially blind child,
right? Like, okay, I'm sorry.
Like, that's like the next step.
That also kind of like speaks to that Sally Hawkins character, where like she's just always been this way. Like there isn't necessarily that maybe like her daughter caused her to be this way, but like maybe she's always been bad. And like the fact that
which is ironic though, because she actually works in like child mental health development 100%. As a child counselor. And I think that's the full thematic picture of it. Is how ironic that is.
I think that's like almost like the darkest element of it is that like she knows what she is doing to like Andy and that character of that, and like that's also what makes her such a sick character, right? Like she's the like the other characters, like she's been in here for 15 years. She was the best counselor we ever had. So like that makes you aware as a viewer of like she knows the what she's doing to screw over.
She knows
these
the
people.
Triggers.
And like
she can pick
like
up
just again how evil that is overall, right? Like there's a demon in this movie, but Sally Hawkins is the most evil character.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Speaking of that, and kind of just the play she goes into with Andy, and kind of the mental gymnastics and mental abuse she puts him through, from alluding to that he's pissing himself and gaslighting him in the morning. Like, oh, did you piss your pants? Smells like pee.
Great scene.
And she's actually pissing into a cup and dumping it on him. Right.
That was a crazy reveal. That was where I was like, oh my god,
absolutely insane, man, absolutely insane. Because the first night they show it as an Andy character, and you're kind of like, like I wonder if he pissed himself. But like, I don't know.
Okay, yeah,
you know what I mean.
Kid, parents
but the next
died,
night he's drunk, so you're like, okay, I can kind of see that pissy drunk, whatever. And then it turns out, like, I was like, oh my god, she's actually on herself.
But
so
even
just her to be aware of that is phenomenal.
Even
and really quick,
go ahead, Blake. Sorry, I've talked a lot.
Sorry,
at this point.
I was gonna say really quick. Speaking of the mental gymnastics, two things. One thing that I picked up on that I don't think it's actually part of the ritual and just kind of the mental abuse per se that she's putting on Andy is at the funeral, right? And she's trying to get him to kiss his deceased father.
Yeah, that was messed up.
Yeah, I don't think that's even part of the ritual at all. I think that's her just seeing if she can like mentally break a child, which is completely fucked up when you think about it. Just like, I just want to see if I can break his will and if he'll just succumb to anything I say, right? And she's like, oh, he's hesitant to do it. He kisses him on the forehead, and they're like, oh, you should kiss him on the lips. And then he's kind of like,
nah.
And the Andy character is written in the perfect age where like he knows indefinitely what's right and wrong, but he's not necessarily old enough to be like, dude, what the fuck? You're being weird. You know what I mean? To a parent figure, he kind of just has to like accept it because he's a kid, and he fights that line a lot in this. You can see, and then he finally breaks. Finally breaks at the end in front of Piper, and obviously the Sally Hawkins character is written so well that she just uses that to gaslight him in front of the blind sister, who also can't see because she's been punched in the fucking face.
Yeah.
So all she has is audio cues of them yelling at each other. And yeah, she fucking sucks, dude. Bottom line. And then last thing I want to say here, I know I'm long-winded, is the scene in the hospital where she goes to visit Andy in the hospital after the incident. And I feel like I caught a line where she was talking about, it's okay, but
you're gonna die that way.
And he's like, hey, I had a hallucination, or I saw my dad in the shower, which could allude to the Connor Bird character who can transform to other entities.
100%.
It's kind of how I took it.
Yeah. She fed him.
And
She fed him the hair.
Father.
Yeah, and like he haunted him. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's like, hey, I saw my father and something bad's going to happen to Piper. And then, long story short, Sally Hawkins' lore is kind of like, hey, I don't think anything's going to happen to her. I think you just have that thought process because your father died right around water. And then she made a comment right after that, which to me sounded like she said, I killed your father. Right? And I was like,
no, she did.
That's really strange, but I don't think that's accurate. I think it's also just the mental abuse to
I think she
say
says
it loud enough that he can hear it.
I think she says like he died in the shower just like you will, or like you do.
I don't think I heard that.
No, I heard because when I killed him or something like that.
Yeah, I heard something
and then he goes
like I killed your father.
Right, and then Andy goes, huh? And then she like doesn't.
She covers it, but
repeats her line, but doesn't repeat that.
I swear the version I saw.
He's like, what's happening to me? Or something like that, and.
I swear the version I saw, she's like, he died just like you will, or something like that. Like it was like,
I don't
Well,
I don't know, Nathaniel.
It'd be crazy if they had like different versions of it as well too. Like I also wouldn't put it past.
Would be cool. Yeah. But that version, at least that me and Em come across, I was kind of like, that's really interesting because we know that's not how it happened because the kids were home.
Yeah.
But she's saying it just loud enough that he can hear it, so he starts questioning himself.
Regardless of what she says, she goes back and covers it.
And she's completely sick. Does anyone here want to talk about the demon? I know we're getting a lot of context to Sally, Andy, and Piper.
No, but like you get those.
But does anyone want to talk about the demon of kind of the circle, the transition, how a demon's actually trapped inside of a child? He comes out at the end like with this huge bloated stomach that looks fucking disgusting. Probably the most uncomfortable shot for me of the movie is the kid walking out of like the chicken coop where the body's in the freezer.
Yeah.
And he's just got this huge gut. And he's like 7 years old, and I'm like, that looks so
brutal.
Disgusting. Yeah, man, it's.
I think there's
anyone want to talk about that?
Because I think there's a moment earlier where he's trying to catch him on video, and you see like a split second where it looks like he's got horns, and like that was a moment where I was like, oh man, that's just chef's kiss stuff. And the same thing with like when she's like talking with him in the mirror. Yeah. And like I think that goes back to there's not a lot of moments in this movie where there's like outright down and out horror. Where I feel like it is like pushing those moments, and like in some moments when it does, it is like that very naturalistic where it's like he's chopping the food and then he gives them, and then the kid's chewing on the knife, or like it's that like the like punch to the face as the child. It's like these very staccato, very like abrupt moments of horror, but they're not super supernatural. Like the creepy things and the violent things that happen in this movie happen because people do it to themselves, or like it's to the limits of human violence. It's not
it's not the demon doing something otherworldly.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. It's not Last Night with the Devil where the head splits in half or someone's like starts vomiting worms, right? It's like you could still say like, oh, this could just be someone going crazy and someone else like being a serial killer, right? It's this very, and I think that's on purpose. I think the filmmakers know not to necessarily cross that line too much, and I think that definitely builds into the horror as well too. I've talked a ton. I'm gonna shut up now.
So have I, dude. I honestly love this movie, but Nathaniel, or excuse me, Adam and Ty, please jump in, share thoughts.
Ty, you want to shit on this movie for like 30 minutes just to kind of balance everything out?
I mean, I genuinely don't have a lot to shit on about it. No.
Well,
no.
How come when Andy gets up from the bed, he leaves his phone open even though he knows she's trying to look at it?
And he has a facial passcode later or something like that.
Oh, you're talking about the first day where she looks at his Snapchat?
Yeah.
I mean,
she looks at his
I
text.
guess, yeah.
Like,
normally
right,
you would argue somebody would close the phone when they interrupt the convo, but like,
Also,
I don't know.
We're all 32.
Kinda
Like, yeah,
shitty
your
on-
kid's fucking weird, lady.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But also like kind of shitty on Andy as well of like immediately meet a kid and like immediately text your friend of like, hey, this kid's a fucking weirdo. Is like, I mean, I hear him what he's saying, but like still
you like
He's
choking
17.
a cat.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
shirtless in an empty pool, choking a cat out.
Was that a little munchkin
You got a
cat
little-
too? Like I feel like he had little legs. It was a
the
cool
tiny
ass-
legs.
Yeah.
But yeah, but all, that comes
Did
full
the
circle
cat
because
survive
we now
the
know.
movie?
No,
He
yeah,
just
he-
he disappears, but yeah, and
Okay.
she's like, God knows what happened to Junkman.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
we know.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, we know full circle the reason why she's so adamant to make sure, like, to go through his phone and stuff.
yeah,
The
she's
scene
horrible.
where she in the middle of the night where she gets him passed out drunk and she uses his like Face ID to go through his shit. Just crazy gaslighting measures. Andy punches a wall instead of punching Sally in front of Piper as her eye's been punched out by Sally. So she's
Right.
completely blind at this point. And Andy punches a wall out of anger and Sally starts crying, alluding to that she's just been punched. And just horrible gaslighting measures. And at one point it was funny. I was waiting for Andy to be like, you're lying. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, 'cause he kind of like argues with her back and forth, and then finally he does when he goes to get help at the local police station and kind of the
Also,
child counseling.
Shout out
center. I don't know
to
what the
the social worker actually doing her fucking job as well too.
Coming?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
she does her
Yeah.
job. At the end she doesn't like she catches her. Like she genuinely does like pay attention and isn't just fobbed off kind of thing.
not oblivious or doesn't just
Yeah.
write Andy off of like, oh, you've been a bad kid, so anything you're saying to me is a lie.
And you see how
You know?
quickly once Sally is like held to it, she just falls apart as well too. Like in that moment.
Oh
where
yeah,
she,
I've spoken to an angel.
Yeah.
It can work.
yeah,
At
and then-
first- and I think she even alludes to like at first I didn't believe it, but now I'm starting to.
yeah,
Right, and because I think she's now been bit by him. She's been bit by
Sure,
Oliver.
sure.
She now realizes Oliver can like mimic the sounds and voice of things he consumes. Because if you caught it once she bit,
Yeah,
once
no,
Oliver bit Lily and
sounds
she's
like-
banging on the door, he's mimicking her voice as he's banging on the door, which
Yeah.
is like probably the first really unsettling scene that kind of made my skin crawl.
yeah.
Was that clip right there? I was like, ooh, that's a little weird.
Final
Uh.
final thought that I will ask for the boys, and then I'll shut the fuck up. But
Yeah.
do you think the demon recognized that like, oh shit, this didn't go down, so I'm just gonna like yeet myself out of this kid and like walk past the barrier? Or do you think that he
Ooh, that's a good
had a
question.
moment of humanity and like threw himself beyond it, and like that was what got him there after
Yeah,
she didn't like go through with it?
I won't answer. I'll let Adam and Ty answer. I've talked a fucking ton.
I mean, no, you can go ahead and answer. The question's open in the group.
I think that,
I would like to say he had a moment of clarity reading the Connor Bird missing poster.
sure,
I'll
Yeah.
just leave it as that. I'll leave it as that.
that's fair.
I agree with you. I think that's pretty poignant where he kind of looks down, and I think he can kind of tries to reclaim something and then sends it over, because obviously we've seen what happened, or we saw what happened when he went over the barrier the first time when they're trying to go to the
Yeah.
hospital,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then he there's a line of like help me, like you can kind of gather, oh, that is what keeps the demon inside him, and then he kind of gained control again when he got outside that circle. But yeah,
And
that's
then
how I kinda
Connor
read that.
draws. Does he draw a picture or he writes the word bird?
He writes the word bird, which
He writes the
Yeah.
word Bird, which is his last name. Yeah.
yep, didn't even put that together. I was like, why the fuck is he named Bird? He ate a chicken. Maybe that's maybe it's just he's like, I want the bird. Where is my bird?
That's his last name on the missing poster.
Of course it is. Yeah, I totally knew that too. But like, he goes full
That's
Mickey
funny.
work. I want my bird.
And then he's named him Oliver after
The cousin.
Sally's nephew,
Yeah,
right? Is that
yeah.
the consensus?
Yeah.
And she's taken that he has curly hair,
Red
which is
curly hair,
awesome
yeah.
because that's how Piper realizes that like, okay, I've been lied to. That's the part we're missing. Piper realizes that she's being lied to this entire time and that her brother is actually correct. When she's lured to a room, as we, the viewers, know, Andy is dead. And Oliver has consumed a part of Andy, so now he can mimic Andy's voice.
Yeah.
And Oliver, in Andy's voice, calls Piper to a room, and she goes up there, and Piper touches Andy, thinking it's Andy, and she touches his head, and she realizes he has no hair.
Yeah.
Right. So then Sally comes like, oh, like you shouldn't be up here because she doesn't want the ritual to go away. She's got to die in a certain way. And Piper's kind of like, well, somebody just called my name. Who else is in here? Right.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, like, don't worry about it. That's Oliver or something like that. And then she's like, oh, like, what did you say his hair looks like again? And it goes back to the first lie she ever told Piper in the beginning of the movie. And it's that Oliver's red curly hair. Yeah. Which is also an interesting tip too. Cause like Andy didn't really correct her immediately when she had lied to Piper. But I think that goes back to that weird age where he's at the age where like, you're like, I know you're lying, but I just can't confidently say it.
Yeah,
right?
he's
like,
still a
I'm
kid.
17. Yeah, I'm 17. I understand what's going on, but like I'm just a rebellious asshole teenager if I disagree with you at all times. You know, so great writing, man. Great writing. I do want to close out.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Final
thoughts. We're running a little long on time.
I'm fucking rambling here, fellas. I actually really enjoyed this movie. But final thoughts I want to say is that the Philippa brothers, they do great. They're really big on the themes of grief, specifically through a death involving water. If you've seen Talk to Me,
water.
And Bring Her Back, which is very interesting. I don't know if that's something that, God forbid, has actually happened to them like in their real life or something like that. But that's kind of how it seems because that's a theme in both films. That being said, though, I think the one thing I want to address too, which is kind of the elephant in the room, which is what I thought of after walking out, as well as kind of reading some things online, is that the one strange thing I would say is that there are two movies. Both movies are led by female protagonists.
Sure.
And they're both minorities. And a lot of people are kind of going off this measure of like, okay, well, a lot of their movies have to do to the trauma of a female minority, which can be a little strange as it's written by two white heterosexual white men. And it's kind of one of those like damned if you do, damned if you don't measures including minorities and whatnot. But so that's kind of the one thing I do want to say. But there's a lot of people who are in on that. So I'm curious to know what their next film looks like. Now, if their third film is also a horror movie and the protagonist is like a Latina led character, then it might be like, all right, this is getting a little strange, but we'll have to see. But it's cool they're at least being inclusive, man, because you don't get a lot of minority led protagonists in horror movies these days. So they are trying to push the envelope, man, and yeah, they're absolutely pushing horror forward.
I don't know, and I don't know 100%. Like I said, I feel like I know they're from Australia. I know, with the last name Philippou, like I think there's a good chance that they might be from Greek immigrants over there as well too. And like I think that may be part of it. I think the actress in Talk to Me is indigenous. If I'm not mistaken. Like she's Aborigine.
I
believe
so.
And obviously our lead in this, I think it was it Sarah Wong?
Sora. I believe
Sora,
it might be Sora. Yeah,
seems to be of Asian descent as well too. So
I
don't know. I almost feel like I see your point. Like I can definitely see where they're coming. I feel like they feel just kind of like 2025 contemporary filmmakers in some ways, where it's just kind of like this will be part of the language a little bit, and the part of the language of horror. Like horror is often the the realm of minorities and like that, like the subjugated class and that kind of thing, right? But
that entryway.
Yeah, I'm very interested in what the boys do next. I wish in some ways that they were still on the Street Fighter movie. Like I kind of want to see what happens if they get put in like kind of a studio environment in some ways. But I would be, I would definitely like to see them expand. I think they've definitely done variations on the theme now twice. I want to see where they're going next.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm all in. Give me a movie title. As Nathaniel said a few episodes back, give me a movie title. Give me a date, and I'm there for the Philippou brothers. It looks like they're doing some world building here as well. If you've seen Talk to Me, there's some ghosts that are in Talk to Me that appear to be in the video clips that Sally Hawkins' character is watching. Some of those characters are actually the ghost in Talk to Me in the background of some of those scenes. So yeah, there definitely seems like they're doing some world building, some sound designs being reused through people dying in water and whatnot. So yeah, man, I know I'm long-winded, but yeah, honestly, I really, really enjoyed this film. Went in blind and definitely was very, very surprised. So yeah, I'm all ears for anything the Philippou brothers do. I know Nathaniel stepped away here, but I don't know if anyone else wants to close or we just want to get into rankings. But I know
let's get into rankings. We're going long on time here, and
for sure
gotta be a little bit swift on this exit. So we'll go ahead and welcome back listeners who skipped over the spoiler segment of the podcast. We're gonna go ahead and throw up, bring her back up upon our entropy list. What's up? Why are you saying uh-oh?
No, I got to pull the list up and see where I'm going.
Okay. For those of you who do not know, the Entropy list is Back Row Banter's official list of all the movies we have reviewed, regardless of genre, regardless of anything else, all on one fantastic list. This is essentially how we rate our movies rather than do it out of 5 stars, out of 10, whatever it is. We throw up all the movies we review on a list and see how they compare to one another. If you want to reference the Entropy list for yourself, you can do so by checking the episode description where it's linked to my Letterboxd.
Adam, Ty, I think I'm gonna let you guys rip first.
Relax. Relax.
I don't know.
I'm probably going to be the one anchoring this pretty far.
Probably
Pretty far down. Pretty far down here. All right. I will go. I don't know. I'm not feeling a great spot here, but I see a movie that I'm not putting this above.
Okay.
And I see some movies where I'm like, yeah, that's definitely above that one. Of course, amended with like, there's always some exceptions, but 172 above Thunderbolts and below Tenet feels like a good spot.
Brother.
Okay.
I told you I'm low.
Sounds rough, but then once you say Tenet, I'm on board because that is a movie I keep saying. I think it has no business being that low. So I hear you.
Yeah, it sounds worse than I think it is because we just have so many, as we always say, we've got a lot of movies that we've watched.
Approaching 300 movies on this podcast.
Ooh,
yes, we were. Well, kind of.
I was gonna say I thought we were closer to 250 than we were. I'll be honest.
No. We're on the other hand of that. Yeah, but
well, we have
week by week we're making our way up.
This being better than Final Destination, or at least 3 of us have. I think The Descent is kind of like a regular kind of gatekeeper for me, for horror, and then I do see things like Barbarian. Obviously, you guys are pretty high on Malignant, but I'm not. But then, kind of like a 115 to basically like top 100 is like kind of like a somewhat dead zone-ish. Like, I don't care about Challengers. I don't care about La La Land.
Challengers awesome. Disagree, but
Nightmare Alley kind of fell to the wayside.
Yeah.
Rubber the Dog, super fell off for me. I never really thought that was that great anyways. And then like Wakanda Forever, Doctor Sleep, like I kind of think this is up there. So I'm gonna go right below one of kind of like my favorites. Still get some of my like nostalgia in there. I'm gonna go below Blade, so I'm gonna be at 107.
Okay.
I really wanted to break top 100, but I just don't know.
Fair.
I think it's definitely worthy of it.
Adam.
But yeah.
107 Ty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good gatekeeper Blade. I know Ty's big on Blade, man. Fucking classics. I hear you.
The bomb.
Nathaniel, it's between me and you.
I know.
Yeah.
And I
honestly, I'm pretty high on this, fellas. Like I'm trying to not let recency bias of me just viewing this, right, and kind of take over. But like I said, definitely my favorite horror movie of the year. Probably off the top of my head, my favorite, better than any horror movie I watched last year as well. And then going to 2023, 2022, I guess I'd actually have to actually nitpick and kind of think about it. But yeah, it's difficult for me. I think where I kind of fall in immediately is like not the same lane, but kind of adjacent, and like the 28 days later is the same lane for sure in Romulus. Like I see Romulus at 56. This movie is way better than Romulus. I love Xenomorphs and the entire lore behind Romulus.
Sure.
And Fede Alvarez bringing back something that is a fucking classic. He's pulling off like a very difficult movie of a cult classic that's 45 years old, right? And he revamped it, and it's like it's actually pretty good. So I hear him on that, but like I like this more than Romulus by far, from cinematography.
It's original
character development. Yeah, original IPs, which we're big on in here. 28 Days is there too. But honestly, I think I'm in like this Godzilla -1 tier.
Wow.
Where that was awesome viewing for me too. Large platform. You guys know I'm a huge Godzilla guy. And that was one of my favorite viewings. I think I caught that 2 or 3 times in theaters. But honestly, I
didn't know you'd seen it
that's
3
where I'm
times
pushing.
in theaters, man. That's
Yeah.
I mean,
saw it with
that
you
movie
guys.
rules. Like,
Yeah, man, dude, it's dope, man. I saw it with you guys, saw it with Tay, and then I saw it with my pops.
sure.
So, but yeah,
I saw it
honestly,
twice, but yeah.
I think I'm bunkering down here. This sounds crazy, but I'm over Romulus. I'm over 28 Days. I'm over Godzilla -1, and I think a movie that's pretty high up here that I don't particularly care for that much is going to be. This sounds so fucking crazy, but it's honestly Back to the Future. Cool movie to me, but like doesn't have that nostalgia tie-in to me.
Sure.
Adam,
and this is one, man.
Just Jim face
I
the
know,
camera.
I know. I just killed Adam. I burned any friendship me and Adam just
No,
had.
I love episode.
I buried it.
What are we at? 241 or whatever. Blake goes off chops. I'm ready.
Yeah,
It's time.
yeah.
Let's shake it up.
But I think that's one where I'm like, okay, like great movie, don't really care for that much, and so I'm kind of battling that line. So I think I'm gonna fit the middle. I'm gonna go 46. So I'm gonna go below No Country for Old Men, above Starship Troopers. And my basis for that is Godzilla -1, Romulus, and 28 Days Later. I'd like this way more than all 3 of those, like by far.
I love it. I love the balls.
Do you, boo boo?
Gotta stir it up, fellas. Stir up the pot.
So, folks, it all comes down to me.
Yeah.
I gotta say, originally I was maybe a little bit lower, but with Tyler and Adam's placement, like I see where they're going from. I see where Blake's coming from as well too.
Yeah.
Again, this is
Long Legs is 65.
so, and that's the one that I feel like I look at and I go,
Do you like this more than Long Legs? I guess straight up.
So honestly, they remind me a lot of each other.
No pun intended.
I'll talk to you, but they remind me a lot of each other. To be honest with you,
sure.
I think they're of kind of like a similar level of quality, and I feel like Long Legs I might like better just from a like almost a Silence of the Lambs, Nicolas Cage appreciation.
Okay,
aspect.
yeah, the police detective.
Yeah,
portion,
for sure,
per se.
for sure. Yeah, I think I like that a little bit more. The other thing, like originally, the thing that brought me to the list was The Strangers, where I feel like, hey, here's a movie that is like of its time, but like as a movie of its time, it definitely did its part to shift things forward in its way. And I think Long Legs is the other movie that kind of did that recently as well too. The other one being the one that I think this pulls from a lot, being Get Out and that kind of thing as well. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, I'm going to land. I think I'm going to be at 73. I think I'm going to be
Below
a low Scream. I'm going to be above Iron Claw, above American Psycho, above Warfare. And I'm going to be below Scream. 1917's right there. Fuck.
It's hard to rank things on here, man, because you can find something above and below your ranking of like, well, I actually like that movie way more than this one.
I think
it's
in
hard,
its
dude.
I think in the horror rankings there though, I think that's where I need to put it. I think it's going to be at 73. And I'll stop talking so we can keep going here.
Yeah, fair enough. Good hard cap on Scream though. That was I had to swallow my tongue saying that too, but I had to just succumb to Scream's not where I want it to be. And you gotta answer. So when the phones ring, you gotta answer. Mathematician, Adam.
Yeah.
What's the iPhone calculator saying?
Average ranking of 99.5, meaning we're gonna slot that in at 100, below Doctor Sleep and above Black Panther.
That's fair.
Forever.
That's fair. It'll immediately crack top 100. We'll live with it. We'll live with it, man.
You better.
Justice for Blake.
Yeah. Yeah. Good ranking.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
Good ranking.
This didn't save, but I will fix that in a second. Let's get on here. We're long on time. Yeah, huh? Don't talk back to me. I'll server mute you, man. Don't make me do it.
You gonna talk to me? Also, shout out for the talk to me reference in this movie.
Oh man, I wanted to say that, dude.
Where they say the actual words.
Yeah, it was when Andy pulls out the piece of paper. He's like, "How about I get something to write down? That way you can talk to me and I can talk to you." And like it was like me and I saw like a Sunday morning. It was like me and like 3 people, and all 3 of us were like, "I like that," So,
bro,
I heard him say that line. I was like, okay, I like that now.
My viewing was like me and like 8 teenagers in the back.
What time of day you go?
8 last night.
I gotcha. Yeah. Funny. All right, Adam, you want to wrap us on out of here?
Yep. Thank you all for listening. Do us a favor. Share the podcast. Share with a friend, a family member, maybe a sibling you've got, or a weirdo that you meet at your foster home. While you're doing that, follow us on Twitter at Banter Row, on YouTube or Back Row Banter, and our email is backrowbanterpod if you want to, or backrowbanterpod@gmail.com if you want to send us an email. You can find me on Letterboxd at Ash and on Twitter at Ash24. That's AYYSH. Tyler Vidalis, where can the people find you at, my man?
You can find me on Instagram, Letterboxd, and X, all Tyler Vidalis, VIDALES. Blake.
Letterboxd, BlakeHolder, be on there, logging some things, rate them out of 5 stars. I believe I gave Bring Her Back 4 stars with a like. And that like was given just because we had a title card reference of Talk to Me mentioned in here. Xbox, Mr. Water Coolers, PSN, Mr. Water Coolers. That's all I got. Nathaniel?
Yeah, you can always find me on Twitter and not Twitter, Instagram and Letterboxd at nsgingrick or Nathaniel G92. Have we gone around the squadron? Have we got everyone?
I believe so. Yep.
I believe so.
That's it, folks.
Get a sign out of here.
Yeah, if you want to bring her back, we'll BRB next week. We'll see you later, and we'll BRB.
America. Ready for another lesson.
Adam, how are you feeling with your Lord and Savior Timothy Chalamet's hometown New York Knicks being eliminated, man?
Fine. I mean, it's funny though.
He's don't listen to him.
All the memes about him
days.
bringing Kylie Jenner to Indianapolis on a Saturday night are hilarious.
Yeah, I think I sent you one of those memes.
And you sent me.
He is the lease on Al games.
Well, there's that one. Yeah, there was definitely that one where it was like, oh yeah, getting two girls from LA to root for the Knicks. He really is Lisa Al Gaib. That was good. And then Blake, I think the one you sent me was she thinks it's fun games when her his team's down in an elimination game. She's not getting laid tonight or something like that. Or I forgot what it was. But yeah, all good memes.
Yeah.
Had no idea he was that big of a Knicks fan, dude. But I guess once I put it together and I recall finding out he was from New York, maybe like the past year, I found that out.
Right.
So I guess it does make sense, right? That's his hometown fucking team, man. And first time they've been this good in probably his entire life, like 30 years, essentially.
Well,
so,
I guess, I mean, they made it to the...
I think they said last Eastern Conference Finals they made was 20-something years ago.
A while ago.
Yeah, so I didn't realize that their coach was the Bulls guy for all those years, Thibodeau, right?
Yeah, Tom Thibodeau.
With Derrick Rose.
They
actually
fired his
that
ass
guy today or yesterday.
Yeah, they fired him. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sports
Sorry,
are
man.
Crazy, right?
You just made it.
Took you to the last
playoffs.
4 teams left in the NBA, and it's like, you know what, man, we're fucking kicking
in New York.
And the fact that it happened to him twice.
Yeah, Chicago and New York, like just two gigantic, fuck that, man.
Yeah, it's weird, man. Yeah, that's so.
Wolves are still in it, yeah.
I have very mixed feelings about Tom Thibodeau.
Owner of the
I think I hate to break it to you.
I thought you guys would have said something by now.
Yeah, I don't think we got a chance to talk about it last week, but they actually got eliminated maybe 6 or 7 days ago. They lost to Oklahoma City. Yeah,
so it is
Wolves,
the Thunder.
They lost to the Thunder. Yeah,
so it'll be Thunder Pacers.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thunder Pacers, and they said this is the closest NBA Finals distance in I don't know how long. It was like.
Oh,
I think
sure.
It might have been
they're like
years,
300 miles from each other at the most, or something.
Yeah, I think it was 500 something miles.
11-hour drive or something.
Yeah. Yeah, huge for the country of Britain, not for America. Overall,
Why is that? I don't know if that joke is going over my head or I'm just.
Like 11 hours would be like what it would take to drive from like the north to south of Britain. Like,
okay, I've got you. I've got you. Yeah.
You could drive from London to like the tip of Scotland in that amount of time, basically.
Gotcha.
And like for us, it's the closest 2 teams have been for forever, kind of thing. So yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No worries. But yeah, so that's the NBA matchups. Yeah, so Ty, sorry your Wolves are out, but they'll be good next year, man. They made it to essentially the final 4 teams last year and this past year, so they're good. They're in a good position, man.
Man, scale is weird.
Yeah, it is.
You think about like what is it like? I think there's like a farm in Australia that's like the size of Texas. It's like one farm.
Well, yeah, it's probably in the middle of Australia where no one lives.
But yeah,
but
the middle of
100%,
Australia
like,
is desolated.
Isn't that
if you look
fucking
at a
weird,
light
though?
pollution
The
map,
outback, yeah.
But like, can you imagine?
I mean,
like,
no, that's crazy.
Can you imagine like 50 years? It might not be. Like the way we're kind of shifting shit around, you never know. Like that might be where we all are. Australia's in the middle of a tectonic plate. It'll never get hit by an earthquake.
Yeah, it's just so inhabitable though outside of those
Yeah, I mean,
coastal
like
cities. And I
anywhere,
think
right?
most
But
of the coast is on, I don't know, the side by New Zealand. I guess that's their eastern side
yeah.
of the continent. And that's where most of those cities are, man. So yeah, it's strange. Weird places, Australia. Anybody ever been?
I really want to go. I feel like
Yeah.
I would enjoy it quite a bit.
I want to go at like one time in my life, but like
Yeah.
I don't know if we need to like
Talk about a
frequently go
travel
back
day,
there.
bro. That's
feel
a
like-
long
Yeah, that's the
ass
longest
flight.
fucking
I
place.
feel like it's the
Yeah,
Arizona
16 hours or
of the
something like that.
world, you know?
I'm sorry, those both of you guys. Ty, what'd you say?
I said it's like 16 hours or something like that.
Yeah, it is wild.
Yeah, for sure.
think it's
If
like
not even
24.
longer.
Yeah.
I have no idea. And then Nathaniel, what were you saying?
I said I feel like it's the Arizona of the world.
Their wildlife
could be.
scares me.
Not Arizona.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Their wildlife really.
I completely agree. Just
I-
way too.
I disagree.
Just- I mean, I hear you, right? So like when you look at right, so this now we're going into like
But-
super back row lore. When you go into the devs patch notes of the world, right? Like they don't have the apex predators of like lions, leopards, like,
Bears.
They're not the Africa.
They don't have
server,
bears.
right? Yeah, like I think Africa and like North America are probably the hardest servers in
Right.
terms of like actual raw animal life.
Hardest
But-
servers.
You know what I mean? But Australia,
You're
though,
not
man,
wrong.
like the insects are just not cool.
Oh
not
yeah,
cool.
I guess it's kind of that thing, right? Because if the insects don't have like natural predators, won't they just like grow?
Yeah.
Like, they, like-
Yeah, dude, their bugs are just way too big in
Yeah, but
Australia, dude. Like
it's
I don't
nuts.
That's
think I can do it.
that's also one of my favorite jokes of like insects on land, like gross. Insects in water, like delicious. Like a lobster is
Yeah, yeah.
basically a giant cockroach, but like we boil it and put it in butter, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Or shrimp.
I'm with you for sure, man, for sure. But I think I'm gonna have to agree with Adam, man. Those
It's
sure
scary.
animals. But they do have wallabies.
But like I feel like
Wallabies.
there's some like
Wallabies.
weird animal in Illinois that we overlook that like someone else would look at us and be like, nah, I'm not fucking with that.
I mean, immediately, I think it's like quiet as kept. It's probably like bison or something like that.
Sure.
That a lot of people would be like, that's actually a much more scary animal than like, you would actually.
Like if
think.
if you ever
Like-
like stood next to a moose and you were like, oh, I need to go round
like
this
we have
thing.
weird shit like that.
Yeah.
That's fucking like massive. They're usually come in herds, or moose are singular, but they're just fucking huge.
Yeah.
They can trample cars. They can trample people. So
Or like even if
to
like
your point, maybe that's what they think of North America is like, holy fuck, dude, like, you're gonna
Yeah.
run into a moose and get ran over.
or
you know,
like
Who knows?
I would say like, you know, it's not too far you have to drive around here before you can come across something like an alligator somewhere or something. I don't
Yeah,
know. Like
yeah, for sure.
or just weird like we have weird insects too. Like black widows are terrifying. Those are around here.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's
Yeah,
just
you got a point.
probably you grow up with it, I feel like sometimes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, scorpions.
Sure.
To your point, right in Arizona and whatnot. So yeah, it's
Snakes
interesting.
and
But yeah, they don't
Gila
have
monsters,
any. Yeah,
all that stuff.
but I don't think they have any large like land predators per se. Besides
Dingo.
like dingoes.
Yeah.
which are basically like the African like
Yeah, but don't-
painted dogs.
Well, I guess they got like
Essentially.
they got Tasmania down there. That's where the Tasmanian devil comes from. Like those are crazy.
Yeah, but those guys are like small though, right?
I think
Those
they're,
guys are probably probably 30 pounds, 20 pounds.
Aren't they like a cousin of the Wolverine or whatever? Like they're just like
Yeah, that's what I would have
little
thought.
demon
yeah.
creatures. Yeah.
Yeah. Which are
And they
some
got-
of the
I
like
mean-
biggest asshole creatures ever. Like
Yeah.
I think they're mustelids.
I guess the thing with Australia too is you got the saltwater croc and you got like great whites as soon as you go off land too.
Yeah.
Like you got two heavy hitters there.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
like does all this pale in effect to like Africa? Like they got all the crazy
Yeah,
stuff,
like
right?
Africa is the most is like we said is the most difficult server by far.
Or like middle of like the Amazon rainforest, right? Like that's gotta be hard
that's
too.
sketchy too, for sure.
I'm sure
that's
there's some
sketchy, too.
places in like Mongolia that are just crazy.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
yeah. Hey man, we gotta talk
All
to the devs. They gotta fix the patch notes, man.